Hello friends, as you recall we purchased an empty plot in the forest. Yes, in a real forest. This is the real Maritaiga. This plot is only 20 kilometers away from a big city. This plot is very convenient for us and we decided to build our new life right here on this plot. And as the first step we want to fence our plot so that we can safely store building materials. So the farm animals that roam and graze in the village don't interfere with the work. And there are many reasons why we're starting with the fence. You can learn about all these reasons on our live channel. Well, let's get started. We'll be fencing the plot with two types of fences. The back part of the plot will be fenced with mesh. For this we'll use a special mesh called a hinged farm mesh. We selected an exclusive cell width of 7.5 centimeters. The plot's front or facade will be enclosed with a solid fence. In this video I'll show the full work process, how to correctly stretch the hinged mesh, what challenges may arise and how to avoid them, and go through our journey, see how we stretched it and what came out of it. Who is this mesh suitable for and who can use it? I'll try to explain all the details in this video. I also want to show you that this mesh is better than chain link mesh. It's much stronger, more aesthetic, looks better and it's easier to work with and so on. Let's get started. And of course everything begins with the fact that our plot is about 100 kilometers away from where we live. Nothing prevents us from traveling these distances and making our dream come true. There was an old fence on the plot, already rotten. Most of this fence had fallen down, the boards were also rotten, and the posts were made of oak and had been in the ground for many years. They had also become unusable. That's why the first thing to do was to clear the plot and prepare everything for future work. Demolishing a fence is not the same as building one. I managed to handle all of this in a few days. Next, I cut down the excess vegetation on our plot that would later interfere with our work and our ability to move around freely. The weather had already started to change, it became much warmer. The plot was completely cleared and I began working on fencing our plot with posts. I decided to use fresh pine because first of all we got it almost for free. I decided to go with this option. I didn't coat them with anything because they're fresh. In the future, I plan to replace all these posts with concrete ones, which should easily last at least 3 years in the sand. Some say they last longer. In this village, posts have stood for 10 years unchanged without any coating. I decided that this amount of time will be enough for us to replace them with stronger posts in the future. For this kind of work, I use an auger from the company Risanto. It helps me out a lot and I've already done a lot of work with it. And for building a fence, I think an auger is simply indispensable. Because we need to install a lot of posts, about 60 of them, and digging all that by hand would definitely be quite an adventure. For example, here I need to drill the corner posts about 1.5 meters deep to stretch the mesh. And the corner posts will have a lot of load on them, which could cause the post to tilt to one side. And I decided why not drill it 1.5 meters deep so that it holds really well. I can't even imagine how you could dig that deep with a shovel. After we set 2 corner posts, we stretched the string between them, and along this string we'll install the posts evenly every 4 meters. That distance will be enough, I would even say, with some margin. This mesh is designed for a distance between posts from 5 to 10 meters, depending on what kind of area you plan to fence with the mesh. Well, after that we simply install all these posts along the stretched rope using a special measuring stick and calmly mark where our future posts will be. We also have some inconvenient terrain features on our site. For example, this ditch here is almost a meter deep. We faced issues here because the mesh will be stretched at the site but this ditch won't be covered. We've finished the back sections and only have 75 meters left. Around 20 posts remain to be installed. Also I make holes along the string with an auger and we install the posts one by one. Our work is now streamlined. Drill and deliver posts. After we've installed all the posts, now we begin assembling and installing our hinged mesh. We decided to start the installation right at the spot where we'll have the entrance and exit for our utility needs. It's recommended to use a winch to stretch the mesh, so some people use a car or tractor to pull it. For the first post you'll definitely need some kind of mounting. In this case we'll put in a brace so the post doesn't tilt and the mesh is stretched evenly. If there isn't some kind of support for the post, when you tighten it, it'll just lean over and the mesh will start to sag and wobble. Our roll of mesh is 50 meters long, 1.88 meters high, and weighs about 55 kilograms. To make sure the mesh holds well on the first post, we wrap it around the post and secure each line with a self-tapping screw. I also want to tell you that the mesh should be wrapped around the post and twisted together. This will be much more reliable than just fastening it with self-tapping screws. I want to warn you right away that these self-tapping screws are not suitable for securing the mesh to the main and end posts, because the mesh is under a lot of tension and it simply breaks them off. Later on, I use special self-tapping screws. This is what they look like. Maybe someone will find this useful. These self-tapping screws are so strong that they can easily bend even a washer when being screwed in. After we've attached the mesh to the post, we start unrolling it. Of course, we have our own difficulties because there are a lot of trees. You can't just lay it on the ground. At some points we had to mess around a bit, but then where we have plenty of open space, we just lay it on the ground and simply unroll it. I really like that the net is quite long. I got 50 meters right away. You don't need to connect or twist it anywhere and so on. And in this way I think it looks much nicer because you can see that it's a single piece. After we unrolled the whole roll, we picked a straight sturdy pole. You can also use a metal angle bar or a 150 by 50 board. But in this case we have quite a lot of different wood, so we decided to just use a regular birch pole. We also wrap the net around the pole. We secure all our strings with self-tapping screws so they don't slip off anywhere. We also wrap it with wire. Next I go and I lift the entire net so that it doesn't bend anywhere and lies next to the posts. Then I attach a 3 meter size 8 cable to the pole. I drove the car closer. We attached our winch between the cars and the net and started tightening it. Good thing we remembered this immediately, but we forgot to put braces on our corner post, even though we buried it 1.5 meters deep. It still needs to be additionally reinforced because the ground will settle, and with braces it will stand much more securely. We added 2 braces, tightened the mesh some more. Now our mesh is stretched pretty tight. If you look at it, you can see that all the wires have become very straight and even, and it's also pressed up against the posts now in some places. We start fastening it and then we just go along, lift the mesh to the level we need and secure it to the posts with self-tapping screws. We've finished with the first 50-meter roll of mesh. We've taken all our mistakes and flaws into account, and now we're starting to fasten the next roll. But first, now we need to put braces on the other corner of our plot. We definitely won't forget this time. After securing the braces, we brought another roll of mesh and unrolled it easily and quickly. We unrolled the entire roll and moved on to the next method of tensioning. Since you can't bring the car to this spot anymore, here we have a small ravine, so we thought, why not dig in another post? Well, and then we just keep going the same way. We use the same pole for tension, we use the same winch, but now as a holder, so to speak, and for tension, we use this post here, which does a very good job with this task. I watched a lot of videos where people use tractors, where they use pickups and so on. Some people use vehicles to stretch this net, but you can easily stretch the net with this simple method using a winch and a buried post. I think if we were to stretch the net again, we would do it this way. They say you learn from mistakes. Next, everything is just perfect for us. You can even see in the video how all the squares are perfectly aligned on the grid and how each wire is stretched. We gained some experience and everything went just perfectly from then on. Most people will probably wonder where they can get this kind of grid. Our grid has an exclusive cell width of 0.5 centimeter. Right now, only one company makes this kind of grid. The manufacturer is called Polosetka Pharma. They are located in the city of Volgograd. All the wires in this grid are of the same diameter. They are 2 millimeters. The edge wires are also 2 millimeters, so you can stretch the whole thing as a single sheet. Everything you saw is exactly what was shown in this video. These grids are also made with different cell widths. 15 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and 7.5 centimeters like ours. The grid must be stretched, not just hung on the edge strings like this does. If you just hang it, that's a mistake and it can seriously deform the grid over time. I'll definitely leave a link to the website in the description. You can go there, take a look, and choose the right grid for yourself. The company operates throughout Russia and will ship it to you easily, as they did for us. I think we ended up with an excellent fence. Now it feels like we're in a real nature reserve. The mesh reveals a beautiful forest view. Also, let's check the tension with a weight of 75 kilograms. I specifically decided to see how it would look and whether it could handle extra load besides its own tension. I climbed on, tried it out, and I think the mesh holds up perfectly. That is, I can easily climb over this mesh without causing any damage to the material. Now I've gotten off the mesh and we can see that the mesh is still under the same overall tension. Excellent, I think. This mesh can also be used by those who are into gardening. Someone grows fruits, berries, and so on. So that different animals, people, or whoever else don't come onto your property and, so to speak, don't cause you much harm. So that no one steals your berries. Because from below, for example, from the same hares, rabbits, and other small animals that can get in from above, there are larger cells. For example, if you need to fence off a large area, like a hectare or more, it will work great. Posts can be spaced 5 to 10 meters apart, so larger fields require more posts. So, you can save a lot on this. If you use chain link fencing for a whole hectare, you'll need to put posts every 2.5 or 3 meters. Some people do it every 3 meters, but basically, you'll need 2 to 3 times more posts for the whole thing. But here, well, you can put posts every 5 to 10 meters. I did 4 meters because that's how many posts I had. So I decided to reinforce it, and since this is our living area, we'll have horses, a dog, and so on here. Thank you for watching, friends. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave comments and questions. Well, I'll say goodbye for now. See you later. Bye.